Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Simpson and I am a kindergarten teacher in Olmsted Falls at the Early Childhood Center, and this is all about my master's research project. So my guided question is, how does guided reading impact student reading level? I will be using my classroom data to provide and see if guided reading is effective in a kindergarten classroom. So, this is the significance of the study. This study will help understand the connection and how guided reading affects student reading level. And then also, I'm hoping to assist in providing data to the Olmsted Falls District of how important guided reading is in a kindergarten classroom. The problem. So there are two different belief systems in teaching kindergarten in Olmsted Falls. There is one group that tends to be a little bit older and not necessarily have most recent best practices and most recent education. And they focus on teaching mainly whole group all day with little differentiation. And then the other side teaches small group, meeting the needs of all students and more hands-on and in a small group setting. I tend to fall in the small group teaching method. However, there's some coworkers that do believe in whole group differentiation, like I said. Although I'm not directly relating my data to another teacher that teaches as a whole group because I don't think that would necessarily go over well. I plan to take my data and my research project and share it with the my administration during a post conference at the end of the year to show how effective guided reading is and all of the data. So that's the problem with the hope that this might be a solution for years to come. So, what is guided reading? According to Abbott, guided reading is a teaching approach used with all readers. It has three different purposes. It's meeting varying instructional needs of all students in the classroom, to teach students to read increasingly difficult text with understanding and fluency, and to construct meaning while using problem solving strategies to figure out unfamiliar words. So basically, guided reading is pretty in depth, but it's basically teaching students how to read in an appropriate manner with effective problem solving strategies. One piece of guided reading that should always be included is a book introduction. So, a book introduction actually allows students to have a successful first read. When you're planning for guided reading, I need to be thinking about the group and supporting the needs in terms of meaning, language structure, in difficult words, and help students at that instructional level become independent in that reading. So, guided reading also includes a daily experience with reading at a level that supports accuracy and comprehension. So, teaching students to understand and make connections with a book is extremely important during this time. It also guided reading time does encourage independent reading level as a part of workshop, so that way they're making more connections. For all students, writing it should also be provided every time that you meet with students, and I will be following through with that from Fountas and Penelope. So this is a little bit about the study population. I teach in a suburban district in Westside Cleveland of Olmsted Falls. I'm a general education kindergarten teacher with 20 students. There's 11 boys and 9 girls. 5 are receiving 5 or free or reduced lunches, ranging from 5 to 6 years old. There are no IEPs, and but I do have 4 students that are on the watch list and meeting with Title I services daily for Tier 2 intervention. My pre-assessment and my post-assessment will be the same. I will be using the triangulation method to collect all my data and be able to analyze it. So like I said, my pre and post will be the same, but my pre-assessment will be the developmental reading assessment, which tracks student reading level, letter and sound recognition, and CVC words checklist to form level groups and decide if students are on track. So during the study, depending on the level of reading and student checklist that I've taken as a pre and also as a formative assessment, students will have a certain schedule that meets with me. So students who are lowest will meet with me every day. My middle students will meet with me 3 to 4 times a week, and my high students will meet with me 2 times a week. Each week, I will have a running record based on the book that we will be reading to track progress. I will have students I will also have a checklist for anecdotal records to see if they're using the strategies that we're teaching outside of that time. Halfway through the research, I will give the letter sound assessment and CVC word checklist to track progress. And like I said, my post assessment will also be a DRA, the letter sound recognition, and CVC word sound checklist to show student growth. The study timeline. So in January, I will administer the DRA and also the other report card data. And so by the end of January, I will develop a groups based on student need and start guided reading. End of February, beginning of March, I will use report card data and observations to see if students are using guided reading strategies in cold reads. So, cold reads are basically a book that a student has never seen before, and I will be having them read to see if they are understanding and using the connections and strategies I provided during guided reading time. I will also use report card data and do that again as letter sound and CVC checklist as and a fluency check. So probably end of February and March, I will be regrouping based on student growth if needed. And then at the end of April, I will re-administer the DRA and analyze, and then I also will reassess student report card data. In conclusion, I plan to take my data to administration to show teaching method with appropriate research after this project is over. And my hope is that the district would provide PD on guided reading to all staff and have information for all kindergarten teachers in the classroom. Although that seems to be a lofty goal, my hope is that it will happen, and I fully believe that with the appropriate research and the thorough data, that it will be truly shown how effective it is. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I appreciate it. Thanks.